So, I just came back from watching Dune Part 2, and holy shit. It was good. Now, I thought I wasn't going to enjoy this movie at all. I barely enjoyed the first movie. And I realized they were setting up a bunch of stuff for the sequel with the world building and everything, but that didn't take away from my general confusion and boredom throughout most of the movie. What lowered my expectations even more is that I didn't rewatch the first movie before going in to watch this one, and I'd forgotten basically everything about the plot. I knew there was a lot of sand, and there were these sand people, and Zendaya was one of the sand people, and there were also these big sandworms that travel through the sand. Just a bunch of sand related matters, but I had forgotten everything about the spies, the Bene Gesserit, the extermination of House Atreides by choice of the Emperor. I even forgot there was a fucking Emperor. Luckily, my brother, who had recently watched both movies, and my dad, who had read the books, were there to re-inform me on the plot, accidentally dropping a couple spoilers here and there along their incoherent summary. But to be fair, when I was watching this movie, at a certain point I realized I didn't even need any context because this movie was just straight up fire. This was just simply an amazing movie. It was so entertaining. Holy shit. Now, I don't have any knowledge of the source material whatsoever, so I can't really tell at what parts the filmmakers took creative liberty. I don't know what parts they omitted, what parts they added, what parts they emphasized, or what parts they maybe dropped to the background. But as someone who doesn't know anything about the Dune franchise, everything about this movie kept hooking me in. The movie never lingered too long on story beats that it got tiring. It was clear about its narrative themes without being too blatant, but where I think the movie really shined is that it made every character feel as important as the next. Every character felt significant enough that I could imagine them having a relevant arc and influence on the story for any movies to come. For example, and this is where I'm going to insert a massive spoiler warning for the movie, so if you haven't watched the movie yet and you want to go watch it, click away now. When Bald Elvis and Jesus Willy Wonka were having their duel, I genuinely felt like, holy shit, this might be where Paul Atreides dies. The way Austin Butler's character was set up made me feel like he might actually have an important impact on the rest of the story, and that there was a possibility that he might live and that Paul might die. In my mind, this fight could have gone either way. The duel itself was also just set up in such a way that you were kind of getting the feeling that maybe Paul was becoming a bit too cocky and that the whole Messiah complex had gone to his head. And then you start to think, will this rise to worship end in a fall of hubris? And then Paul got stabbed. And when I tell you I gasped, bro, I was sitting there like this. I genuinely believed that was it for the twink Messiah. I had actually accepted the bad ending. And then the shot lingers. And we hear another. And oh my god, he did it again! He did it again! Our twink savior did it once fucking more! And you kinda just wanna start shouting LISAN Al GAIB alongside Stilgar and all these other Club Chalamet hype men. Oh my god, it's so fucking hype! But the real fun part is that you shouldn't really be rooting for him. Yeah, sure, at a certain point he's still fighting the good fight, but at a certain point the line of Paul Atreides' ethics start to blur more and more until you start to realize it's bound to go south. Literally. That's what makes his character so fun though. You want to be on his side. You want to indulge in the power fantasy and be in awe of his leadership, but also you realize he's just some dude with his own motives and he really shouldn't have all this power. It's like Aragorn meets Eren Yeager. It's so good. What can I say? I'm a sucker for the zero to morally ambiguous hero trope. Sue me. I genuinely can't remember the last time I was held in suspense at a movie like this. Literally everything about it was amazing. The combat, the story, the politics, the narrative themes, and oh my god, the scope, the utter scale of this movie. It was all just so good. This is one of those movies that you really feel in your bones. The only bad thing I really have to say about this movie is that I think the soundtrack is a bit too ambient for my taste, but that's obviously just a creative decision the filmmakers have gone with to emphasize the general environment of the world of Dune. Also, I just have to mention some of the raw ass fucking lines that are in this movie. For example, when Paul killed the Baron and whispered to him, "Grandfather, you died like an animal." Bruh! That shit went hard. Also, the title drop in this movie is a prime example of a title drop done right. Okay, so I know this wasn't a great video. I actually didn't even plan on making this video. I really just want to continue working on my Sonny Boy video, but I just couldn't sleep last night because I kept thinking about this movie, and as a result, I wrote this script. But now I'm actually really glad I made this video because it sort of cements this moment into history for myself, and I genuinely believe that we are going to be looking back at these movies as peak fiction for a while. We are living through cinematic history right now. Star Wars, The Godfather, The Lord of the Rings, Kung Fu Panda, we only get trilogies like this once every couple decades. And of course there's going to be those film nerds saying that the movie is overrated and everything, but like, just shut up. You're not unique. Going against the public opinion doesn't make you cool, it just makes you annoying. And you can say that maybe the movie isn't your thing because you're not that big of a fan of the story or science fiction in general, but you simply cannot say that this movie doesn't deserve the hype, because this is what an objectively good movie looks like.